we can also have a time frame to finish it on time. Yeah.
Right.
So hello and a very warm welcome to all those that have already come in and all those that are yet joining in. Thank you so much for being here. It feels really good when an initiative we take and there are so many of us who are wanting to learn together, come together and encourage each other. Thank you so much for that. It means a lot. Uh, my name is Jaya Obhan and I'm the founder of Power Up. This program is brought to you by Power Up, and we are a business community where we have a membership program for annual membership. Once you become a member, we offer you 24 events. Of those 24 events, 12 are speaker series where we bring in renowned speakers, renowned businessmen who come and talk about their strategies, their businesses. So on our platform already, we have been very lucky to have Deepak Jain, who's the owner, director of Agile Pens. We've had Hiren Gada, who's the CEO of Shemaru Limited. We have also had Dr. Shailesh Srikhande, who is the Deputy Director of Tata Memorial, and many such speakers who come to us, and when we speak to them, they have been there and done that, and that in itself gives us brilliant learning and strategies for our own self. The other 12 events are training workshops. So there are workshops which are related to all the kind of things that our entrepreneurs require and need to learn to make their businesses better. For example, the upcoming workshop that Power Up is going to have is on LinkedIn Essentials, which is on the coming Friday. So these are the 12 workshops. So every month we have one. The other 24 programs are introductory meets within the group. And of course, we invite speakers. We invite other guests who come, who are part of this event with us. We introduce all our members there, and hence we know who is from which industry, because we have people from various industries. A lot of work and opportunities are generated hence within the team, and also from acquaintances that are associated with our team members. Already, I'm very proud to say that brilliant work has been generated. A lot of opportunities have already come on the way of our members. Along with that, we also try to discuss and brainstorm on certain strategies that could have been a problem during the recent times. So this is about Power Up, and I'll be very happy for you to attend our speaker series and other sessions for a lot of learning and also interacting, connecting, co-creating and collaborating. So thank you so much for being here. Today we are here with Premraj and Riddhi, two are very, very renowned members from our group. Premraj is one of our leaders who has been there as a founding member, who's helped us in many things from his experience of being into banking and all of that. Mr. K.V. Premraj is an author and futurist speaker on leadership and management. K.V. Premraj has spent 37 years in banking with experience in public and private sector. He was also the CEO of the BPO arm of a leading private sector bank. Premraj is the co-author of 3 books. All 3 books hit the first spot on Amazon best-selling list. Views expressed by Premraj have been published in Economic Times, Business Standard, Financial Express, Indian Express, Mumbai Mirror, and other periodicals. Premraj hails from Mumbai and resides with his wife, son, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, and pet cat-in-law. I am very happy to welcome Premraj to be doing this series with us for coming 6 days. And today's guest is my favorite, Riddhi Doshi, but I will not introduce her. And I will over to you, Premraj, and let's hear it from you. Let's talk about what's in for us today. Thank you so much. Let's hear it from you, Premraj. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Jaya, for that kind introduction. We have on the show today a powerhouse in Riddhi Doshi. Riddhi trains and coaches corporate leaders, educators, and parents on issues of mental health and behavior. She is an internationally certified parenting and behavioral coach. In the last 15 odd years, she has conducted over 2,500 workshops, delivered 87,000 hours of talks, 53,000 hours of counseling sessions covering close to 60,000 students and 62,000 women from various stratas of society. She's also conducted over 350 parenting sessions. Let's know more about her from herself. Riddhi, welcome to the show. Riddhi, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Premraj. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jaya, for having me here.
So let's start by asking you
A pleasure.
to let the audience know in length as to what you do, what you're passionate about, and the rest of the stuff.
Okay, so thank you. That's something which is going to describe me and my work a lot. By profession, I'm a child psychologist, and I work with children. I advocate mental health for children. But when I say that I advocate mental health for children, I work in this space, not only doing my psychology practice, but I also do a lot of workshops for children, making them aware how important it is to love thyself, to understand thyself, and have to understand one's worth. So that's all about what I do when I work with children. I also run India's first forum for women that's called Lajja. And for Lajja, we work for the development, that is self and skills development of women. When I say that it's self and skills development of women, 90% of the women do not understand what is their worth or what are their strengths. We help them to understand that, and we develop in them. If they fail to understand, we that if a woman understands her worth and then she decides what to go ahead with her profession, say it be she wants to start an entrepreneur journey, or whether she's in a job, or whether she's a homemaker, it is very important for a woman to understand herself and then plunge into anything she wants to do ahead in her life. Now, both these ventures, I got inspired from my parents. So my father has been an entrepreneur, and that's how I got inspired. And I started my entrepreneur journey when I was 19 years old, thinking that if you're an entrepreneur, you will have a chauffeur-driven car, because my father had one. And that's how I got into it. But later I realized that it's not a straight road to the journey. It's there are a lot of small hips and mountains to reach the goal. Eventually, yes, to some extent, I have been able to reach my goals, the ones which I had decided, with a lot of credits and accolades in my kitty, right from a national award to our youngest entrepreneur award. And that's what motivates me to help more and more women, more and more children to understand their worth and try and achieve their goals. Because somewhere there were people in my life who helped me to achieve that. And hence, I take this battalion ahead.
It's quite substantial what you're doing, Riddhi. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Now let's come to your work with children. How do you assess a child's need and the way forward for treatment or whatever?
So there is no proper definition, or there is no proper way. We don't weigh is that beforehand, that if a child or a case is coming to me, I do not say that this is the system I would like to adopt for to work with that particular child. So when a child or when a case comes to us, my system and my process is very, very different. The reason being, I personally feel that if before I intervene working with a child, if I give that opportunity to the parent, the child is taken care of forever. So whenever I'm meeting a child, I prefer meeting the parents before. I help them to understand the process. I help them to put the process on place. And that's how the things work when I'm talking about child psychology. But if the parents feel that they are not able to do it, it's where I intervene. Now, whenever I'm meeting the child for the first time, Uh, I use play therapy. I use a lot of drawings, a lot of colors, a lot of feeling cards to probe children. Somewhere, people are not comfortable talking. Adults are not comfortable talking. Children are certainly not. Sometimes the children don't understand what they have to talk. So they have to be given a structured way of probing through which they come and talk. And from all that they talk, we take up clues, and that's how we start our process. So we never ever come to a conclusion that a child needs help in this segment, because the process with child is a long process. So when the child meets us for the first time, I'm talking about my own self as a psychologist, when the child meets me for the first time, many times it is seen that the child doesn't open up. Probably second, third, fourth sittings, and then the child starts talking or helping me to understand him or her better. Whenever I'm meeting the child, I do not force the child to speak. I do not probe the child in the first meet. Instead, I create a very strong bonding with the child. And that bonding is through a lot of clay. I use a lot of colors. I use movement, which I'm specialized in, dance movement, which I use as a therapy with the child. And that's how I give them colors. I give them chart papers. We do a lot of rhythm and all. And sometimes the child reciprocates very fast. Sometimes the child doesn't. But it's a very, very slow process while I work with children. Secondly, while we are dealing with children, or when I deal with children, I ensure that I don't let parents be a part of the whole system. So the first meet, when it happens with the child, I understand before that with the parents about the child. So while I'm treating the child, the parents can observe from outside, but the parents cannot be a part of that process or the probing, because what happens is, whenever I'm talking with the child, or whenever you are talking with a child, any psychologist or you, a normal person as well, parents have a tendency of guiding the child. And that's where a psychologist cannot work, because the parents many a times want to show a very different picture to the psychologist, wherein it is not that, where in actual it is not that. So we do not allow parents to be a part of the process. Yes, the parents can see, दूर से वो देख सकते हैं, but वो बात नहीं कर सकते जब हम बच्चे से बात करते हैं. Because we want the children, we want the child to understand the process, be a part of it, understand that how and where I want to draw the child to or come to a conclusion. So it's a very, very goal-oriented process, Premraj, and that's how a child is treated. While you see in movies how a psychologist behaves with a adult, it is very, very different in the actual parlance. In actual, it is very different. And specifically, if you're dealing with children, it is way beyond than what you see in movies. While children, you need to have a lot of patience. While dealing with children, you need to be a childlike. And while dealing with children, you need to be somebody who gives lots and lots of space to a child, a very non-judgmental space to talk. And even you should be giving a very non-judgmental space to the child. As a psychologist, I believe that I don't judge the child. I don't listen from my perspective, but I listen from what the child wants to connect with me for, or what the child wants to tell me. I observe the non-verbal body language. I observe the color combinations. I observe when I give the child clay. I observe what the child has made. I observe the child's drawing. I observe the way the child uses rhythm. And I also observe the way the child moves. Giving you a small example, recently before the lockdown, 3 months before the lockdown, I had a very young child, just 6 years old. And the child had some behavioral issues, and the parents felt that they would not be able to work. In spite of explaining the process of helping their parents to put the process in place, it didn't work out, and I had to intervene. So I saw that the child was not open to talk much or discuss, or even my probing was not getting through. But I saw that while the child was sitting, he was constantly tapping the table, right? And I picked it up from there. So I started tapping and we started creating a rhythm out of it. So in next 5 minutes, we created a rhythm using pen and our taps on the table. And that was so fun. And that made the child very comfortable with me. And then I could actually probe and understand where the gap was and how could I help the child. So with children, you have to have a lot of patience. You need to use a lot of creativity and a lot of other props also you need to use, because children don't open up easily.
Agree with you. Real life is very, very different from real life.
Absolutely, absolutely, Premraj.
And nice to know you're using some innovative methods and meeting success with it. The case that you shared now about colors and other things is quite interesting. There are a lot of parents on this show. How do these parents deal with uncooperative children?
Okay.
Any tips on that?
Yes, a lot. So when you have a child who doesn't listen to you, or when you have a child who have a lot of, and you're facing a lot of behavioral issues with the child, first of all, you need to understand that somewhere the child has learned from the family or you. You need to understand that if the child is getting a lot of anger tantrums, or the child is misbehaving in terms of using some words which a child is not supposed to be using, you need to understand that where it is coming from or where the child is heard. Was it in the family? Is the child exposed to screen a lot? So you need to come to some conclusion, understanding that what has been the root cause of all this behavior. Many a times, a lot of parents come to us with a lot of complaints. But जब हम देखते हैं तब पता चलता है that 90% of the time, or Google says 92.53% of the time, it is escalated from the parent side. So we need to understand the root cause of it, where and how it is escalated. And if the parent starts working or stops talking about that, using those words, or starts working on their anger issues, the child is sorted. Because till 10 years of age, while the child is in the mother's womb to 10 years of age, the child mirrors all the people within the family, specifically the parents. Okay, the parents' emotions, feelings, everything is escalated to a child to the extent even the child understands the parents' non-verbal communication more than the verbal communication. So many a times the parents say, okay, I'm very happy, I'm okay. But if the non-verbal, that's the body language, is not correct, or the body language says that, your body is very tense, your eyebrows are kind of, you're kind of frowning, or you don't seem to be in a proper mood, the child understands that, picks up that, and not what you communicate. So words is taken less, the non-verbal is picked up faster by a child. So whenever you face a child who's not cooperative or has a lot of behavioral issue, come to the root cause, take professional help, and sort it out. It's no more a taboo to visit a counselor or a psychologist. Remember that. It is okay. Sometimes what you as a person might not understand, the other person might help you to understand. So we don't give solutions, we probe the solutions. Solutions is within everybody. It is just that we as experts try to probe it and make you realize that it's within you. You need to just make a little change in your pattern, the pattern of your talk and the pattern of your behavior, and rest everything is sorted. Now come to the 7.5%, which the child learns from the peers or the school or teacher. Teachers less, because teachers are already somebody who are teaching the best to the child. So I would say peers or the friends or anybody. That's where you need to work. The child needs to be taken to the psychologist, because there's somewhere the parent will not be able to work much, right? When it is coming from the escalated from the parent side, is something where the parent can easily solve it. But when it's from the peers, or when it's from the friends, or from the school side, where the child is studying from the other, is somebody in the class, or maybe security guard hai, peons hai, kisi ko dekh ke bacche ne kuch seekha hai, what happens is that a normal help, a small help, not a normal, I'm sorry, a small help from a professional would help the child to understand what is supposed to be done and what is not supposed to be done. We also help the child to understand that life is beyond good and bad. It's all about any responsibility, any act you do, that there is a responsibility associated to that act. When a child is made to understand that responsibility, we have seen that the child understands and starts working on the behavioral issues which the child already has or the parents are facing from the child's side.
Okay, that's nice to hear. Since you said children mirror what their parents say, they pick up non-verbal languages and other stuff. Let's move a bit on to parenting.
Oh, yes.
Why is parenting so difficult?
It is difficult because everything comes with a manual, Premraj, except parenting. So when you become a parent, you don't have a manual associated, right? When you have to install a TV, or when you have a mobile phone, or when you have a desktop or a laptop, everything has a manual. But parenting doesn't have a manual. Where does parenting go wrong? Is you tend to listen to everybody except trusting your own self. This applies to all the parents. So when a lady and a gentleman, when a couple become parents, there are a lot of people who are guiding these people. You know, newly become the couple who's become parents, the in-laws of both the sides, the grandparents of the child, then behne hai, family ke all adults hai, everybody starts guiding, and that's exactly where parenting goes wrong. You need to listen to everybody, take the best from everybody, but it's very important that the couple trust their instincts and their worth. And it's very important for a mother to be confident about what she wants to instill in a child, and not what other people, the neighbor or the mother-in-law or the mother or the sister wants to instill in that child. It is very important for the couple to understand that it is their child, and half of the things the child have already learned while the child was in the mother's womb. So you need to just enhance it. But when the parents tend to talk something while the child is in the womb, and when the child is out and the parents tend to behave different, there is a huge gap. And that gap creates a lot of confusion in a child's mind. So to be very careful that whatever you have experienced or understood or spoken to your child while the child is in the womb, that's exactly you need to behave when the child is out from the mother's womb and out in the outer world, right? There should be no two languages spoken. Languages is not English, Hindi, and I'm talking about that languages. I'm talking about the behavioral languages. I'm talking about the emotional language. I'm talking about the feelings, and I'm talking about the trust and the confidence a couple need to have on themselves to upbring their own child.
That's nice to hear. But why is it that parents face the same challenges again and again? Why can't they learn?
Because there is no consistency, Premraj, in doing few things, right? So many a times parents come and tell us when they have the first sitting with us, and specifically with me. So there have been times when my clients have come and told me, madam, isse farak nahi pada. Then I will ask, okay, मैंने जो आपको ये करने को बोला था, how many days did you? मैंने 2 बार किया, but कुछ फर्क नहीं आया. So parents have to understand that psychologists are not magicians. They are not God. And the process they help to probe, it's not a magical wand. It is a process which everybody, a psychologist, helps you to put in place. There has to be consistency, there has to be patience, and there has to be persistence. Then and then only things can change. Because जब आप बच्चे का कोई इश्यू लेके किसी प्रोफेशनल के पास जाते हो, तब उससे बहुत सालों से आप वो प्रॉब्लम में बच्चा बड़ा होता है. Imagine it's a joint family And there are a lot of differences within that family. Now, when the child grows, or when the child is 8 years or 9 years, and the child starts reverting back, using abusive language, or a lot of behavioral issues, and then you seek professional help, but 8 साल तो वो बच्चा उसी माहौल में रहा है, so it takes time to change. You need to have a lot of patience, and you need to really be consistent in your efforts. That doesn't mean that every time it is a lot of sittings a child has to take. No, kabhi kabhi ek do sitting mein bhi ho jata hai, but patience and persistence is something. Consistence also needs to be adhered to a lot of times.
Thanks for that input. You have worked a lot with women and women empowerment. You have done a lot for women empowerment. Can you quote 1 or 2 examples wherein you have really succeeded and made a life for a woman or a set of women?
Yes, something which I feel really connected to is the time we launched Lajja. It was somewhere in 2015 that I had announced a workshop. So initially, Lajja started with a women development workshop, and it consists of 12 modules. So the first workshop we announced, there was a 17-year-old who attended the workshop with her mother. This is 4 years. No, I'm sorry, 19. She was 19 that time, and eventually, she underwent whole workshop, and then it was kind of okay. बहुत सारों ने workshop attend किया, उसने भी किया. After 4 years, I'm receiving a call that last year 2019 January, I just happened to receive a call from her that, ma'am, I have got married, I have settled in Dubai, and today, right now, I'm in hospital and have delivered a baby girl. I'm naming the girl as Rithi. The reason being, you are the one who have inspired me. You have the one who have shown me how to take my life ahead. And oh, I'm getting goosebumps even while I'm talking to you right now. And you have the one, you have given me a channel to grow in my life. And trust me, that was the moment for me, because I never thought I can, I have been doing work in this space since years. I have been, before I was in school time also, while my rickshaw uncle used to pick me up from my house, tab vans nahi hoti thi. So jab bhi driver uncle nahi rehte the, there was an auto rickshaw uncle who used to pick me up and drop me to school. तो बीच में एक स्लम एरिया आता था. आई यूज्ड टू गिव माय टिफिन बॉक्स टू द किड्स एंड गो टू द स्कूल, और मैं घर पे जब आती थी तब भूखी रहती थी. तो this was in me right from the beginning, but I never knew that I'll be able to put it up so beautifully when I grow up, or when I grow mature enough to put it right for the people. So when this girl called me up, it's kind of a satisfaction I got that, okay, I'm on the right path, and there has been somebody who has learned, who has picked up from all the work that we have been doing, and that we have been able to make a difference in lives of people. And the second example, which I recently had, so one of the lady who was with Lajja right from its inception, due to something untoward happened, and she ended her life, which I got to know late when everything was done. And she was right from the inception, she was with Lajja. So that was very painful for me to even accept the fact. After a few days, I'm getting a call from a 16-year-old, and the child is saying that, ma'am, we need help. And she's again one Lajja woman. And my mom has been is facing violence within my family, from my family members, and my mom gave me a number, and we need help. We ensured that the child was the mother was given help. The mother was safely sent to her brother's place. Everything was done. We ensured that her safety is taken care of. But one thing which touched each and every member at Lajja was, and every team member I'm talking about, that the 16-year-old said that my mom had given me this number 2-3 years before, because my mom has been facing violence since years now. But she had given me this number, and she said that any point of time you have any difficulty in life, or you see that I'm suffering, or I'm badly injured, give a call to this lady, give a call on this number. This is the lady who will come and stand by you, for you, and she's the only one who can help us out. And that was my number. Everybody at Lajja is not able to forget this few sentences spoken by the 16-year-old. Everybody at team, everybody is a part of team. We are 21 of us at the moment, and everybody just couldn't, everybody of us were in tears. Not because the woman faced so, but that faith she showed in Team Lajja was beyond imagination. And it's still that we feel that God is kind, and God has given us so much acceptance among women that we are able to help him. So it's kind of, these two moments are really very close. Two incidents, I would say, are very close to our heart, my heart as well.
Commendable work, Riddhi. We salute you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have been on the TED stage a couple of times. Normally, it's difficult for a speaker to crack the TED stage even once. How is it that you went there multiple times? Can you share that, please?
Sure. So the first time when there's a small story, associated with this thing. So it was April 2017, and I happened to receive an email that, ma'am, we have selected your profile for TED, and that was from Udaipur, and Engineering College of Udaipur. And they said, ma'am, we have shortlisted your profile for TED X that's happening at our college, and we would like to invite you as a speaker. Trust me, Premraj, I didn't reply them for 1 month. I felt there is some mazak happening, because I had never thought of going on TED for TEDx. Neither had ever tried. TEDx has happened to me, and there has been no efforts from my end, all the 3 times. So when this happened, I sincerely thought that there has been somebody who's been playing a prank with me, because I have a group of friends who are great pranksters on earth. So I always thought somebody's playing some prank, but actually it was not a prank. After a month when I replied, they had actually selected my profile, and they wanted me to speak about my life journey. Now that was a second surprise for me, because I never knew I have done anything substantial in my life that I speak on a TEDx stage. So when I was asked to speak, I called them up and I said, what made you feel that I should be speaking on about my life journey? I should be sharing about my life journey. The team at TEDx Udaipur said that we've been observing your profile and all since last 5-6 months. We had shortlisted some 150 profiles. And out of this 150 profiles, we have shortlisted 5. And from those 5, your profile is something, ma'am, which we felt that you can really make a difference in life of other people. Because all the 3 ventures I am into. So my first venture is my company that's called RINS Academy Private Limited, under which I work as a psychologist, and all the programs I do under that head. The second is I run Lajja. And the third is I run, I'm the owner to my entrepreneur journeys, which was a hobby and turned into a business. I am into manufacturing of mocktails. So I run a manufacturing unit there in Ahmedabad. And I started when I had taken sabbatical from work while I delivered my baby. He was a preterm baby, so I was not working. I just took off from all the work and I wanted to give my time to him. And that's when I had launched. So my baby was 3 months, and when he turned 3, I launched the website, and there was no looking back, because I started as a home chef, but now it's a full-fledged unit, a manufacturing unit that's working in Ahmedabad. I mean, we're operating from Ahmedabad. So all these 3 things happened with a very small thing. Say it to be rinse, say it to be mocktail gazebo, or say it to be lajja. So they wanted me to share, and my topic for the first TEDx was small things makes huge difference. So that was my first topic, wherein I shared my life, my journey up till now. My second talk was all about language. I personally feel that whether you are a Punjabi, a Sindhi, a Gujarati, a South Indian, or a North Indian, whatever you are, Assamese or Sikkim, kahin se bhi aap ho, never forget that your mother tongue is your core. Don't let anybody demean you because of your tinge of your mother tongue in your language. It is okay. It's okay to pronounce with a little effect of your, your mother tongue effect comes. It's fine. Because at the end of the day, when you are stuck in a problem, अगर आपको माँ भी बोलना है, आप अपने मदर टंग में माँ बोलोगे, आप इंग्लिश में मम्मी बोलने नहीं जाओगे. So don't get inspired by people who speak English, but consider English as a means of communication only, and do not try and make it in a way that you start demeaning your own self, or you start judging your own self because of lack of vocabulary or proficiency in a language. And the third TED happened was all about my movement. So I have qualified myself in dance movement therapy, which is nothing related to dance. It's all about movement, which you give to your feelings and emotions. And that's my third talk about. I was the closing speaker. Yes, there are some beautiful memories from that talk, because I got a standing ovation at the end of my talk when I spoke about, because I took them through a journey of movement. And yes, that's all about my 3 talks. But yes, I have created a lot of memories through my 3 TEDx, and that kept me motivated, and that helped me to be advisory on multiple TED clubs. So I'm an advisor to 16 TED clubs across India right now, and I empower children. So TED is all about children, and RINS TED Club is advisory to 16 clubs. TED is all about children right from 8 years to 18 years, and we have seen a child evolving at the end of the cycle. So it's such a beautiful curriculum TED has developed for children, and we see that it empowers children right from within, and a child understands his worth. A child understands how to do a proper way. That's a proper way of doing public speaking. A child understands his or her creativity. And at last but not the least, the child starts trusting himself. So that is very important in this world, because when the world is moving towards AI, if a child doesn't understand himself or herself, if the child doesn't trust, the child will need a psychologist soon. So TED Ed is something which I'm helping children to empower themselves.
Thank you. Thanks for that insight. I can see a lot of participants here who are trying to crack the TED stage. So guys, if you want to crack it, you need to have a disruptive idea. Go for it.
Yes.
Riddhi, we have been speaking for the last 35 odd minutes. Would you mind taking some questions now?
Yes, please.
From the audience?
Yeah. Yes.
So whoever wants to ask a question, please unmute yourself and shoot.
Oh, guys, I'm waiting.
Them into silence.
Wow, no questions.
No questions. Okay, Mala Vichara, somebody want to Vichara. Okay, whoever it is, please.
No, Jaya, you aren't. I can just,
Any
I'm trying
questions?
to, yes, Jaya has it since.
Okay, Jaya, please. Jaya is not audible. Jaya doesn't see. Jaya, you're muted. If no one has a question, I have some more questions.
Jaya, you can write it. We're not able to hear you.
Okay, Riddhi, then since no one else has a question, can I ask you one question? Couple of
I
questions at
think
least.
Jaya has just put up in the chat.
So she's put in the chat.
Yes, yes, yes. I can read. So, how do you balance work and home? Oh, yeah. Sometimes it goes really difficult, but yes, for me, writing my diary and scheduling my day is very important. If my day is not scheduled, things go haywire. So, right from visiting my child's school or even going out to buy vegetables, everything you'll find it that I've written in my diary that I have to do this, I have to do that. So, I do not clutter my brain, but I write it down. Being into graphology as well, long back when I was in London, I had learned graphology. So I understand that what you write is all your brain helps you to write. So I write it down to help my brain to remember. So instead of me forcing my brain to remember things, it automatically falls on place. And when I am done with it, I put a check. So I feel that, okay, maine itna sara kaam kar liya. Actually, dekhne jaye that small things, but I have a habit of doing this. This is something which I learned from my father. And I've always seen him because he had 4 industries and he was the one who put the industry for Tatas at Navsari near Surat. So he was a general manager. That's how he started his career. I had seen him writing his diary, and diary is not about how his day was, but diary in terms of what his day has to be like, you know. And that is helping me so much, trust me. Like if I'm scheduling an appointment today, and if I undergo appointment like with my client I have, and it's a first sitting, then I ask my client to connect with me after 15 days or 14 days or 10 days. I'll open my diary of that day, I will write the client's name and I will put 2. So I don't have to remember how many sittings I have done. I don't have to remember the choti baate, you know. But it's easy for me to schedule my day accordingly. But yes, the day I do not write, I mess up things to the T. So I ensure that I write my day a lot. And now everybody, and that is what I learned from my father, and my child is learning the same from me. So I see my 9-year-old, he is putting up on his whiteboard how his day has to be. So his class, his school, that is playtime, his sleeping time, everything is written on the whiteboard, and it makes the things very easy. So that's how I'm able to manage so many things. I hope this helps, Jaya.
Okay, one question from me, Riddhi. You have done so much for society. If you were given a wish, what would you wish?
One wish, and which I'm working on it, Premraj. I want to get a sea change in the definition of parenting. I don't want parents to say that parenting is all about happy, conscious, mindful, you know, all these things. Parenting is parenting. And parenting is a journey with your child. How memorable you want to make depends upon you and your child, but ensure that you create such memories that your child relishes it for a longer time. तो उसको कुछ adjectives देना जरूरी नहीं है, And I want to change this whole definition of parenting. I'm working on it. I recently completed 468 sessions on parenting. I've been doing parenting with open programs. I'm doing parenting with corporates. I'm doing parenting everywhere. And I'm sure that I'm going to get a change in the definition of parenting for sure.
You will. You will.
Just one question at the end.
Yeah.
This is Abhijit. So
Yeah, Abhijit.
a mixture of two. So one is, what do you think is the right age? Maybe there may not be a correct answer. It will always be subjective. But for parents to maybe step out and give the independence to the kids. So when does parenting actually on a very proactive level stop? And what is the role also of the grandparents as far as parenting is concerned? So where would they should draw the line, or they should come in between and step out?
Thanks, Abhijit. So parents have to give space to their children right from the time the child is in the outer world. Do not give solutions to your children. You are creating followers. Tell the child what is the correct way of doing it and what might get them into a problem, and explain the responsibilities associated with the act. Let the child decide. What we do is, अगर हमने सामने खड्डा भी देखा, हम 4 बार बोलेंगे मत जा मत जा मत जा. But the child is inquisitive, and when we say mat ja, it shows that हम जितना emphasize कर रहे हैं, बच्चा उतना inquisitive हो रहा है. I'm going to share one example which has changed my life drastically, and that was one of the reason I went for psychology. I have been into trekking, hardcore trekking. So once I was in Himalayas with a group of people, and there was an army man. So there was a colonel with his child, and there was a kind of plinth been created in the garden. While we were there for some visiting that place, we saw that this colonel, who was a father, and the child was not more than 4 years. I was a young girl, and the child went on the first plinth, and he was trying to jump. He would look at his father and say, "I'll jump," and the father would say, "Yes, do it, I'm there." So every plinth the child would go, and the child would ask the father, "I'll jump," and the father would say, "Yeah, I'm there." Now when the child was on the 4th plinth, which was pretty high, वो बच्चा कूदने को जा रहा था, ऐसा गिर जाएगा. That was something which I was young. I was 20-year-old. The colonel just looked at me, smiled. He looked at his son and said, "Hey, I'm there. Now jump." And the child jumped, and he was playing. Then the colonel looked at me and he said, "I didn't wanted him to ever have a thought in mind that my father is not there for me. I wanted him to give that trust that whatever done and say, I'm there for you." But I never wanted to stop him as well, because I want that he should have that guts. He should be a leader, and he should try things on his own without having that fear that I might fall, I might fail, or I might not be able to achieve. And that has that's with me till now. That's what I tell all the parents. Do not help your child to come to a judgment or a conclusion. Draw a path in such a way that your child walks that path. Even there is a hole on the pit on the road, or you know that if the child goes there, the child will fall. You need to just tell your child, "Hey, look, there is a pit on the road. You might harm yourself. Take care." That's all you need to do. Give space to your child to decide. एक बार गिरेगा तो कुछ ज्यादा नुकसान नहीं होगा, पर वो उसको लेसन मिलेगा फॉर लाइफ टाइम. और लेसन्स तब भी देने हैं जब आपको पता है कि डैमेज ज्यादा नहीं होने वाला है. But that's going to help the child to understand and remember for a longer time. I hope I answered your question, Abhijit.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And coming to the second question of yours, grandparents. Where do grandparents have to draw a line? So many times parents come and say that, my child is pampered a lot by my in-laws, and, we are not able to discipline the child. और हम जब भी बोलते हैं तो my in-laws or the grandparents will say that हमने तेरे husband को भी बड़ा तो किया ना, अभी तू देख ही रही है कैसा है, तूने उससे शादी किया है. But grandparents need to understand that gone are the days when parenting was so simple. These days the children are exposed to a lot of things. So if you do not take care, there are chances that the child might get affected with the things which the child need not know about what is going in the outer world. It is very important for the couple to take in confidence the grandparents, explain them why it is important to define parenting, why it is important to discipline, and also the couple has to understand that thoda bahut प्यार parents grandparents की तरफ से बनता है, because the love and affection what grandparents would give a child, the parents cannot give. You need to remember that. Every couple needs to understand that. So everything in moderation is good to go. Everybody needs to sit and create some ground rules for the family, and they don't, so that they don't intervene in each other's work, and they stay beautifully, and the relations are created and bonded for a longer time, and there is no much happening within the four walls. So it's the onus lies on the grandparent side as well, and the onus lies on the parent side as well.
Thank you.
Good, Riddhi, good.
Yeah, thanks.
Great, Riddhi. Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Finally, there are a few questions from our viewers. Can I ask them? They have come to me personally, I think, because there is something in the settings. So I will just ask you.
Please.
Bindu Madhav is asking, also, is the parental influence considered under social psychology, or is it considered in some other subtopic?
I'm sorry, Jaya, I can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
I can now. I can now.
Okay, I'm saying Bindu Madhav has asked this question. She says, also, is the parental influence considered under social psychology, or is it considered in some other social subtopic?
Okay. Parental influence. To some extent, yes, is social psychology, but I would not tag it that way. Parental influence is something which has a very strong impact on a child, similar to parental bullying. So both the things, influence and the bully, is going hand in hand these days. Yes, our social structure is such that many a times parental influence is much more than the other segments of life. The child starts thinking, the child starts behaving, and the child starts putting the process on place as the way the child is influenced, and majority of the time it's from the parents' side. So if you have noticed sometimes that the parents tend to live their dreams, their aspirations, and their life through the child. The things which they have not got in their life is something that they expect their child to do it. So I would not put it up much as a social psychology, but yes, the influence, parenting influence is something which really needs to be catered to, and that's altogether a different segment. And as I said, that 90, as Google says, 92%.50 something, it is escalated from the parent side, and yes, it has much more to do with parental influence.
I hope that answers you, Bindu. Okay, great. We also have a question from Anand Kane. He says, do you find that culturally we in India are fighting between our culture and values, opposed to the West which may want to ape? Leading question, how would you handle it?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, in our country, we are still obsessed by the Western world. So we try to copy, we try to live the life which is not ours. Let me give a very small example. So few years before, few in the sense 2.5 to 3 years before, I was conducting a session on personality enhancement for teens. And that day my office was getting, there was some issues with the electricity in my office, and it was getting catered to. So I was conducting the sessions from my home that day. And my child happened to have a holiday, and he just came in the room when I was conducting the session, and he spoke to me in Gujarati. Immediately after my little one left the room, I asked him that we will talk after some time because my session is going on, and he understood. He left the room. Immediately one of the participants asked me that, ma'am, you talk to your child in Gujarati? I said, yeah, my mother tongue is Gujarati, and yes, I do talk to him. And immediately the teen said, ma'am, you know what? My mother says that when you are amidst people, talk in English because it's very LS to talk in Gujarati. Yes. We do not talk to our children about our mother tongue. We do not talk to our children about our rich heritage and culture. We do not talk about our beautiful mythological stories, but we talk about everything which is not ours. And that is very, very unfortunate. I would request all the parents to make their children aware of how beautiful our heritage has been, how beautiful we are culturally rich, I would say, and how beautiful our mythology have been, mythologies, right? You talk about Ramayana, you talk about Mahabharata, you talk about Gita. Gita is available in children's version as well. A child can even talk about different aspects which is there in Gita. But we refrain to make our child understand about these things. If a child is aware, it is very important that a child is aware. The reason being, your child will be much more grounded than what your child will be if you do not allow your child to understand what culture the child belongs to, how beautiful heritage the country has in which the child is born. It is very important. Unlike the Western people, you see a French. I have a friend who studied with me, and she's a French woman. Her child, who's a 10-year-old, knows everything about the country. He talks about the heritage. He talks about the cultures. He would talk to me about, auntie, this is not our culture. This is our culture. I would like to know about your Indian culture. At 10, he talks about different cultures. He loves to know about different cultures. Unfortunately, I don't see that in our country. I don't see parents talking about different cultures. I don't see parents making a child aware of their own culture, the country. But they try and ape, they try and copy Western people and their culture and their way of talking, their way of behaving. That's unfortunate. But I would love, and in fact, I have been always telling the parents that the more you make your child aware of where the child belongs to, your child will be grounded and your child will not get affected or will never get bullied, because your child is grounded and he knows what is his worth, his family's worth, and what he belongs to. So it's very important.
Can we take another question? I hope that answers.
Yeah, Jaya, you have one.
Yeah, one last question has just come.
Yeah.
Anand is saying thanks. Even Bindu said thanks earlier.
Thanks, Bindu, Anand. And Abhijit.
Thank
Jaya,
you. Thanks a lot.
Jaya, last question.
Correctness. How do parents such instances because a lot of inputs may not have explained logic. In above cases, parents may know the right thing as it had come to them from their parents, but may not have the underlying logic. The above has nothing to do with imposing thoughts.
Jaya, may I request you to once again repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I think this is not a question. Maybe this is an addition to what was being discussed. I would have loved if Ram would unmute and talk to us about it. But I'll still read out the comment. It says, today's kids Google every input given to them for accuracy and correctness. How do parents handle such instances? Because a lot of inputs may not have explained logic. In the above cases, parents may not know the right things as it had come to them from their parents, but may not have the underlying logic. The above has nothing to do with imposing thoughts. Okay, so he's asking, I think this is related to the superstitions.
No, I understood. The simplest way to handle such situation is buy time from your child. It is not necessary that when your child comes with a query or when your child wants to discuss, that a parent has to be aware about it or the parent knows it. It is okay to tell your child that, hey, look, I need to check more details about this thing. I'm not aware, but I'll come back to you on this. It is okay to let your child know that you're not aware of certain things rather than giving stories. Because when you say stories or when you give facts, don't forget they are millennial children and they're going to go back on Google and check. So it's okay, buy time, but get yourself right information and then discuss it out. But ensure that you create such a bonding with your child that the child, before going to Google, talks to you about the thing, solves his or her queries from you rather than solving it from Google. Because आप जो query solve करोगे वो एज अप्रोप्रिएट रहेगा, जबकि गूगल के पास एज लिमिट नहीं रहता है, and things might not be age appropriate for a child to understand or know. So it's okay to buy time and just tell your child that give me a day or maybe give me a few hours, I'll get back to you on this. I hope this helps.
Yeah, I hope this helps. Can I add something? Yeah, we are going overboard, but one small instance. So my children are now grown up, 16 and 13. When they were small, to make them finish food, I used to say that last bite is very important. Last bite khane se na sab acha hota hai. Something I used to tell them, I don't remember now. So now they tell me, Mama, kitna pagal banaya na bachpan mein aapne hum log ko. So what I understand as a parent is that, unparent. Just stop being parents and start being human beings. And let your children know that you can make mistakes. You also don't know.
Absolutely.
There is no parenting, And today I sit down and we make so much fun of all the things that used to happen when they were kids. So thank you for this session. It just reminded me of some beautiful memories with my children when they were younger.
True.
So yeah, thank you for that. So yes, Premraj.
Yeah. Thank you, Rudy, for the wonderful session.
My pleasure, Premraj. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure discussing things and, talking about my journey, my work and parenting. That was something which I really enjoyed talking about. So thank you so much for having me.
One sec. I haven't completed.
Oh, so sorry. So sorry.
The work you're doing for society is commendable. You're touching the lives across the spectrum of age groups. You're the harbinger of hope in a sea of despair. You're making a difference in the lives of so many people. You are the light in the ocean of darkness. We salute you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Premraj. Thank you, Jaya.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we are winding up now. Thanks for all the participants. We meet again at 7 o'clock tomorrow.
With
Good
yet
night.
another.
Thanks, Prem. Thanks, Jaya. Thanks, everybody, for having us on.
Thank you, each one of you, for being part of this. And, our leaders like Premraj make Power Up what it is today. Thank you so much, each one of you, for being here. I hope this was a lot of value to you. If you might like to join Power Up community, please get in touch with me or Premraj or Riddhi, anybody. We are all from Power Up. And let's stay connected tomorrow again at 7 p.m. with yet another powerful speaker. Let's see what we have more to learn for us. Thank you so much till we meet again. Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye bye.
Bye.